Welcome to Cheers. I'm your host, Avery Woods. Hi guys, welcome back to the Cheers podcast. I'm your host, Avery Woods. We're back for a little solo episode. Scott loves when I sing because I'm gifted, honestly. I got my Blue Lagoon here if you hear me slurping on it because your girl's tired. It's been a busy ass weekend and I kind of want to do a little recap because I feel like I haven't just sat down and chatted with you guys for a while. Actually, since the Olympics. So I wanted to kind of fill you in on how Paris was. Em and I went to Paris with Benefit Cosmetics. It was so much fun. I love Benefit. I've used their products forever and ever and ever. I think that was the first bronzer my mom ever got me. It was a Hula bronzer. And so it was just a really cool full circle moment. And basically, long story short, they had contacted our teams and said, hey, we have 2 tickets for the Olympics. You'd be in Paris for 48 hours. You're our top choice. Let us know if you can go. And we were like, should we do it? And we did. And it was so fun, but I still feel like I'm still kind of catching up on rest because 48 hours for that time change is nuts. But also, how do you say no to the Olympics? Like, I am obsessed with the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I bawl my eyes out every time I watch the Olympics for the athletes, for the families. I just think it's so special and there's so many talented people and I just love it. And I always grew up watching sports and I played sports. So I just never in my life thought I would ever attend the Olympics. So it was just such a cool experience, especially in one of my favorite cities in the whole world. You guys know I love Paris. So it was so magical and to be there with Em was so much fun. We flew in and we landed at 9 a.m. Paris time. And so I set my alarm for 4 a.m. that morning that we left because I have such a hard time sleeping on flights. And so I was like, I need to force myself to go to bed. So I slept all night. We landed the flight in Paris at 9 in the morning. We had like 45 minutes to get to our hotel, shower, get dressed, get ready. And then we were off. We met up with Shelby, who was what'd she do? Is she like the head of social media in Benefit? I can't remember. She works for the social media team. She's incredible. I love her so much. Such an angel. And she basically like took us around where we were going. And the first day we went to tennis, which was so cool. We got to see Coco. Love her. She is such a sweet angel. And our seats were insane. Like we were sitting with all the families and stuff. I literally was looking at Emily like, is this real life? This is crazy. And we watched tennis. And if you've ever been to Paris, you know the sunset's really late. So we were at tennis till almost midnight. So we had flown all night long, landed at 9 a.m., got dressed, ready to go. And then we were at tennis until midnight, went back to the hotel, showered, went to bed, and then we were up at 6 a.m. the next morning to get a move on because we went to dive. And we saw like men's, I don't know the exact name, but men's like doubles. So 2 men that are diving like in, what am I trying to say? Synchronized dive? Yeah, synchronized dive. Thank you. It came to me. But that was so cool. And I'm literally looking at these men like, I was just sitting there eating a chocolate croissant. I was like, your form is off. Like I have any room to speak. What? These men are so talented. Flying through the motherfucking air like a goddamn Cirque du Soleil shit and landing with about 1 drop of water splashing out. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen. But Canada won bronze. I think the U.S. actually didn't even qualify for this particular event, so there was no one from U.S. competing, but Canada won bronze, and it was so sweet because one of the guys, his family was sitting below us, and his parents were just hysterical, and they were so proud of him, and of course, me as a mom, I'm like hysterically fucking crying. It was so cool. So we went to those 2 events. We stayed in the most beautiful hotel. We were so grateful to Benefit. Ordered lots of room service because anytime that we had a free second, we just wanted to chill. But it was so weird because with the time change and the traveling, I got so physically ill from traveling. I didn't even drink and I was puking in the middle of the street because I felt so overtired, travel motion sick. Everyone knows I puke every time I basically set on foot on anything that has wheels or fucking, what are they called? Airplane arms? Wings. Not airplane arms. God damn. Hold on, let me take a swig of this Blue Lagoon. I need it. Airplane arms. I need help. Someone come rescue me, please. Speaking of drinking, I did decide 2 days ago I'm going to stop drinking alcohol, which hopefully I don't crack or cave in. But I kind of just got this weird point, guys, and don't get me wrong, I love marijuana. Not going to lie about that. And the reason I love marijuana is because I have insomnia really bad, and it's really the only thing that helps me sleep. So as far as alcohol goes, after Stevie was born, I got in a really bad routine of drinking, I would say like at least 2 glasses of wine every single night, sometimes more, and for a long time, like multiple years. And it was just kind of like my reward after the kids went down. Obviously, having 2 little kids and working full time, I was always just overstimulated, stressed, busy, exhausted, just had a lot going on. And I think that was like like I said, my reward when the kids went down. I was like, okay, they go down, I get a glass of wine. And then I'd have another glass of wine. And then after a while, you build up a tolerance, and I didn't feel anything. And I was like, okay, I'll just add another glass of wine and another glass of wine. And then that turns into a bottle. 4 glasses are in a bottle. And going to Costco and stocking up on my Kim Crawford that I love. I think it's like a pack of 3 is, I don't even know, $30 or whatever. And I would go buy 2 packs of those. And that was lasting me like maybe 2 weeks, if not less. And that's like not even with hosting people. That's just by myself. And that's not healthy. And people can say whatever they want about weed, but alcohol destroys your liver. And I've obviously seen that working as a nurse. I also want to reiterate, I'm not a stoner in the sense of I don't get high and like go out in public and stuff. If I'm going to take an edible, it's in the evening to go to bed, like after my kids are going down. So I decided, I would say like, Scott, 2 months ago to cut back on drinking, maybe less, actually maybe more. I would say a few months ago, I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Why am I drinking? Like, am I drinking for a social aspect? Am I drinking for a buzz? Am I drinking because it's convenient and everyone else is drinking? Am I drinking because I'm at an event and they're just serving alcohol and so I'm just drinking it? And I couldn't really answer that question for myself. And so I was like, I'm just going to cut back and kind of see where it goes. And so just like casual things that I would notice, like we have a mini fridge out in our patio when we go swimming with the kids, and we have like White Claw and High Noon and all that stuff. And so David and I would always just like grab one and just casually sip it. We're out swimming with the kids, and it's a seltzer, so it's like you don't even feel a buzz. So I'm like, so why am I consuming the alcohol? You know what I mean? I'm not a big fan of the taste, to be honest. I love wine. I love like a good wine and the flavor of a good wine. But other than that, I'm like, why am I drinking this seltzer? It's not very good. I don't feel a buzz. It actually makes me put on a shit ton of weight. It makes me feel like shit. Why am I doing this? So I started cutting back. I would say I was drinking maybe once a week, and it was like on a date night. Dave and I go on a date night usually every Wednesday, and we'll order a bottle of wine. So we'll each have 2 glasses, or we'll go to our favorite sushi spot and I'll get a martini. But I got to a point where I had cut back drinking so much that now when I drink, it destroys me. Like, I don't even feel a buzz, and I will get a fucking pounding migraine, and I will feel so nauseous. Like, Scott can attest, when So Tiana was here this last weekend. I'm sure you guys saw. She recorded such an incredible podcast episode. She was so vulnerable. I'm so proud of her, and I'm so grateful to call her one of my close friends. I'm really excited for you guys to hear that. But her and one of her agents came, and so we took them to one of our favorite restaurants, Mastro's, which they have my favorite espresso martinis. So I got one espresso martini. That's literally all I drank. And I didn't even feel drunk. I felt no buzz at all. And we're driving back in an Uber, and I feel like shit. I had to immediately come home and take Zofran. I was like, I'm gonna puke. And it wasn't like it wasn't a drunk puke. Like I didn't even feel buzzed off of it. It was one drink. And I had a multiple course dinner. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I really think that my body has just like shown me signs that I'm ready to stop drinking. And again, this isn't going to be I don't have an expectation to have a perfect journey and just go stone cold sober with alcohol and never crack. I don't want to put that much pressure on myself, but this is just my goal, and I'm saying it out loud cuz I'm a huge believer in manifestation, and so I just think saying it out loud is helps things come back to me, and also because I just love being honest in my journey with you guys. And if it works out, that's amazing, and if not, and I struggle, I also want to share that journey too for anyone that has kind of gone through this. Also, Jacqueline Hill, good friend of mine, has been a huge inspiration in this journey because she also is sober, and she just hit her 1 year mark. And I was just so inspired by her because she talked very openly, if you guys listen to her podcast episode, about how she would just wake up and drink. Like she would just, that was her way to numb everything because she was going through so much, which I totally feel. Like if, I'm not going to lie, like when that whole boy mom thing happened on TikTok, that was probably the lowest point of my life. And I wanted to die. Like I literally wanted to crawl in a hole and die. And that was when I had Scott take over comments for me. And he doesn't do it anymore because I like to be active with my audience. Like I want it to be a personal thing. So I'm the one reading my comments, responding to comments. But for about a month, I had him do it because I was like, I can't see it anymore. Like I can't see it anymore, especially when it has to do with my children. And that was also right after I got David off the streets, and I threw him this big surprise party, and it was such a huge accomplishment for my family. And then we just got shit on by all those horrible rumors saying that he got fired and all this fucking bullshit. And it was just hard because it was just back to back to back. And so what did I do? I numbed myself. I drank. I drank and drank and drank. And I drank every single night. And I had no reason to. Well, okay. I had a reason to because I wanted to be numb. But I needed to face what was going on in a sober sense. And every day I would just wake up and it would just start a routine again. And then it would hit like noon. And I was like, oh, we can make a drink, you know, when it doesn't need to be like that. So, and again, I'm not pushing this on anyone. You want to drink, you drink. I just was at a point where it was unhealthy for me. And I also wasn't ready to be completely sober from alcohol. So I started cutting back, and I was really proud of myself for how much I cut back so quickly. I was actually shocked how much I cut back so quickly, and that my body didn't like reject me for it. But even when my mom came into town last week, she was like, where's your wine? Your wine fridge is empty. Like, I want a glass. And I was like, I can't even remember the last time I bought wine from the grocery store. And it used to be every week I went to the grocery store, I would buy like 6 bottles of wine. We used to get deliveries from Total Wine and More. And we would buy like a case of 12 bottles of wine. And we have a wine fridge. It was constantly stocked. And Scott can attest, like I'm always the house hosting people. And everyone knows like where the wine is. And it's been empty for a while, probably a couple months now. So yeah, after we went to dinner with Tiana and I felt so shitty after drinking one drink and didn't even have a buzz, I was like, why am I doing this? I'm just doing this because it's convenient. I'm at a restaurant and I have no like monetary gain from this. Not monetary gain, but there's no reason for me to be drinking this drink right now. So last night I went to watch It Ends With Us in theaters with my girlfriends that we have a little book club. It's Ashley and Lindsay and a couple other girls that we love, and we always like text about what books we're reading, and then if they turn into movies, we go watch them. It's really fun. So we all went to a really yummy Mexican restaurant and had dinner, and everyone got like margarita flights, and I just ordered Diet Cokes, and I didn't feel like I missed out on anything. I had so much fun, completely sober. I was everyone else's DD, so I got to drive them. So they got to have fun, which for me, that fills my cup. Like, that's like the mom in me. I think that's fun. And then we watched the movie and it was amazing. And I didn't need alcohol to have a good time or to be social. I just drank 2 Diet Cokes at dinner and that was that. So it's been only 2 days because we went out with Tiana. Was that Friday night? Yeah, Friday night. Today's Sunday. So 2 days. And again, I've obviously cut back a lot, but this is my out loud manifestation commitment. And so I told Scott I want to vlog the whole thing on YouTube because I want to do maybe like a 6-month journey of sobriety with alcohol because I just want to be honest about the struggles and the pressure, especially in this industry, that alcohol brings. And I also think this industry is really hard when it comes to people hating on you and having their opinion. And so it's easier to deal with that when you're numb and you don't feel it anymore. But I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person for my kids. I'm only 29 years old. So that's again the reason why I love being active and going to Pilates because I just want to live a long time for my kids. And I'm hoping that this journey brings me that and I have clarity and I enjoy it. I don't know. I can't say this is a forever thing and I'm never going to drink again, but this is just what I want to try right now and see what works for me. So I just felt the need to share that and talk about it because, again, I'm an open book and I want to share my journey with you guys and kind of how I'm coping with it. And we have that, I always call it an alcoholic Keurig, but it's what's it called? We showed it on Would You Drink It, but it's basically an alcoholic Keurig machine. And you put in a little pod and it takes from one of the alcohol chambers and makes you a cocktail. And there's like light, regular, strong, but there's a mocktail option. So I was like, that's cool. Because when David and I make drinks and stuff, I can just have the mocktail version. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I also love my Diet Coke. I love my Blue Lagoons. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm excited for it. And yeah, I'm gonna do like a long form video on YouTube about it and just kind of update you guys on my journey because I feel like I'm just at that point. I'm just at that point right now. So, anywho says, I want to talk about It Ends With Us, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but everyone knows I'm a bookworm. I fucking love reading. I'm obsessed with my Kindle, and I love Colleen Hoover and her books. People either like love her stuff or hate it. I personally love her shit, but I also love those type of books. If you're not into those type of books, whatever. But I loved It Ends With Us. I read that cover to cover in like 2 days, I think. Also, It Starts With Us is great, which is the prequel for it. But I thought the casting was incredible on that movie. Like, so fucking good. They did such a great job taking small details from that book and putting it on a big screen, which I'm really picky about. I was so locked in, and I haven't read it in a while, but like it brought everything back. And what's crazy is, when you read a book, you imagine it in your head like a movie. Every way that I had imagined it was exactly how it was on screen. So good. And also the casting for the young Lily Bloom, who's Blake Lively, looks fucking identical to her, has her identical voice, her mannerisms are the same. Like the casting was amazing. I highly recommend seeing It Ends With Us. Whether you've read the book or not, I think the movie's amazing. But I do highly recommend reading the book because the books are always better, like, obviously. But my other favorite Colleen Hoover book is Verity. And I heard that they're in production making that movie already. And I'm shitting myself over it because Verity blew my fucking mind. If you have not read Verity, you need to read that book. It's a mix with romance, thriller, kind of like mystery crime, but not. I don't know. It is such a good book. Like, I actually need to reread that book. I love that book so much. And when I heard they're making a movie, I was like, oh my fucking God. So our friend Danny wants to see It Ends With Us. And I was like, I'll go with you again because it was so good. I also want to take David because I thought it was so good. Okay, I did want to talk about this because Abby, who's one of my friends that's part of our book club, was there last night. And she filled me in on this drama from It Ends With Us. I don't know if anyone knows about this, but Justin, do you know about this? Justin Baldoni, is that how you say his name? Who, listen, he's hot as fuck. Okay, don't get me wrong. But I will say the clips that get released of his podcast when he's talking to his wife seem a little forced. And I don't know if that's just me and kind of controversial, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. Okay. And listen, I don't want to ever judge people until I meet them face to face. Highly doubt I'm ever going to sit down and have a fucking conversation with this man. But yeah, I never want to be someone to judge someone from social media clips, especially because Lord knows I've fucking been in those shoes. But I know from personal people I've talked to that Blake Lively is a fucking angel. And her and Ryan are incredible parents. And I obviously love Colleen Hoover. But if you guys aren't aware, Justin is he a director of the movie? I think he's one of the directors or a producer. I can't remember. And he's also plays Ryle, who's the main character. And if you don't know, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but people that haven't read It Ends With Us or seen the movie, It Ends With Us was actually written by Colleen Hoover, and she based it off her parents. And it's about a couple, and the guy's a neurosurgeon. She has a flower shop, and they're in a relationship so head over heels in love, but then it gets physical, and he physically abuses her. And there's obviously a lot of decisions that have to be made in that, but Justin not only is either the director or producer, I can't remember, but he's also the main character that plays Ryle. And all of a sudden, he's not in any of the press with all of the other cast members. Everyone's there except him. Red carpet comes around, doesn't take a single photo with any cast member. That's unheard of in Hollywood. You always pose with your cast members, especially the main characters. All the press he's been absent from. And every single cast member unfollowed him on social media, but he follows all of them. So I'm like, what is the tea? What happened? So I need to go down a rabbit hole. But now I'm so invested because I thought the movie was so incredible, but it's sad. Like, I don't know what happened. Also, I'm like, what is the tea? Because they obviously had a lot of like romantic scenes together. Because if you don't know, Colleen Hoover writes like very sexual books. I actually wish there was more sex in the movie. That's one thing I wish happened. Like, I did sign up to see porn, so where is it? But I don't know. I'm very confused. And obviously he's married, what seems like happily. Blake and is in a happy marriage. So I'm like, what's the tea? I'm like, what's going on? Huh? What's happening? So I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. I did a little Q&A on Instagram because, again, I just want to catch up with you guys. So we're going to go through some of these questions. I get a lot of questions about my two oldest babies. And it's a lot about, like, tell me about them. And also people are saying, like, oh, you used to not show their faces and now you did. Now you do. Like, what happened with that? And again, I've talked about this before, but the last time I showed them before I like reintroduced them was Stevie's newborn photos. and which Stevie turned 3 in May. So that was about 3 years ago. And the comments on Instagram were absolutely fucking disgusting, talking about their physical appearance. And 3 years ago, they were 11 and 9. So they don't have social media, but their friends do. Therefore, they have the option to read those comments and tell my girls about them. And I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have body image issues at 9 and 11 years old because that was me. And I will do everything in my power to avoid that. So I decided to stop showing them for about 3 years. And, it's very interesting, this whole like not showing your kids situation, because when I stopped showing them in order to protect them, I got so many horrible comments saying that they weren't loved, that I favored my other two more. When they don't see the family photos that we take and are framed in the house and I'm not posting to the internet, they just automatically judge me from what I'm posting. I'm like, bitch, you're seeing what I allow you to see, okay? So just stop. I loved them. They made me a mom. Like, I was 18 years old when I became, like, was a part of their life. They were in diapers. Like, they were my first kids. People can say whatever the fuck they want about that, but you have no idea what our relationship is. And my girls are now 12 and 14, and they actually approached me in Hawaii. They were like, Mom, we want to be in your content. We don't have social media. We can't see comments. We wouldn't look anyways, but like we want to do it. We want to be part of the fun because they love like they'll watch like YouTube shorts, which will have like TikTok dances and stuff. And especially my youngest, Sydney, she loves TikTok dances. And so they wanted to do a video with the zip line. And so we did the zip line video, and they just think it's so fun. And they'll ask me to do content. Like Sid will ask me to do a TikTok dance, and they love it. They have so much fun with it. And we sat down with them, with David too, and we were like, are you sure? Like, you're old enough now where I'll let you make that decision, but like your friends have social media. And they were like, Mom, all our friends already know who you are. They already watch your content. Like, we want to be a part of it. And I was like, okay, I respect that. So that was a decision that was made. And I'm really grateful that people have been really kind and receptive to me talking about that and being gracious of their feelings. Even though they don't have social media and don't see it, I just really appreciate that, my loyal followers have been so positive towards them, because that's all I care about. And yeah, that's kind of how it came about, was they brought it up to me, because I was I was always under the impression like I probably won't show them until they're old enough to have social media, which I did get a lot of questions like, what would you say if your kids want to be on social media? I would say that's your decision when you're 18 or older. I I don't think that, at 14 years old, my daughter needs to have a TikTok account and post videos on her own. I think she's too young for that, and I want to protect their peace as long as I can, because in this job, my kids experience a much different life than what it used to be, and I'm very aware of that, and I try to protect them as much as possible. And it's just little things like when we pick up Ziggy from kindergarten, it's like a drive up. So we like drive up. We have a sign in our dash that says Ziggy Woods Kindergarten with like his teacher's name. And the teacher's aide will see it and like walkie-talkie to bring him outside so he can get in the car with a teacher, just to make like the line go by faster. And Sydney, my 12-year-old, we were at the grocery store. I don't even remember where we were, but she's like, Mom, do you care? Like, I think we should turn this sign around. And I was like, what sign? Ziggy's sign for his kindergarten pickup was in the dashboard. And she was like, I don't want people to see it because then they're going to know this is our car. And I was like, you're so right. You're so smart for that. Because people have invaded our privacy so much, especially like showing up to our house and stuff, that sometimes stuff like that does make me sad that my 12-year-old notices that and knows like we have to respect the privacy of our family and try to avoid being not seen as much as possible, but like, I don't want to be in a parking lot and people know that's our vehicle. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with that. So just things like that have changed in our lives. But as far as them being shown now, that was totally up to them. And we respected their decision and they think it's so fun. So as long as they're happy and their peace is protected, that's all I care about. Random, but can you give an update on your breast lift incision scars, please? I would love to. So March was 1 year. So March, April, May, June, July, August. So I'm a year and 5 months post-op. For those that don't know, after I finished breastfeeding Stevie, my titties were tube socks, bitch. I was a 34 double D naturally, and then I breastfed both my kids. I breastfed Ziggy for 10 months and Stevie for 14 months. And my titties were struggling. And there's nothing wrong with that, but my nipples were touching my belly button. So I got a lift and implants, and my implants are, I would say, about the same size as my natural boobs. They might even be a little bit smaller, I'm not going to lie. I got 330 cc's silicone with a lift, and she actually took out some breast tissue to even out my boob size. I actually still have a stitch around my areola because they say to wait 18 to 24 months to take that out, or else your areola can expand in size. And I'm not trying to have a nipple the size of my whole titty, okay? Which there's nothing wrong with that. And you can get an areola reduction surgery. Do you know that? I didn't know that. So I still have a stitch in. I don't know if I'm going to take it out or not. Unfortunately, I don't have any nipple sensation still, and it's really a fucking bummer. So I'm really hoping it comes back. If it does not come back at the 24-month mark, I'm going to get the stitch out because my doctor said it can help when you take the stitch out. So I'll show you my scars. I do not have an anchor scar, which I expected to have an anchor scar, but I woke up and all I have is the lollipop scar. So she cut around my nipple because obviously I got a lift. So they have to like lift your nipple up to make sure it's in the right spot. And then I have a scar from the bottom of my nipple down my boob. So if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can see, but Scott's going to zoom for you guys. My nipple's not hanging out, right? Perfect. There's my scars. Isn't that crazy? They're like nothing. They literally are like skin color. And even when I have a little bit of under boob in my bikini, you can hardly see them. My doctor kicked ass. Also, people are always like, you talk about it all the time because you got free plastic surgery. Bitch, I paid in full. I don't want to hear it. I found my doctor actually through my good friend Abby, who I worked in the PICU with. And she wanted to get into aesthetic nursing, so she started working in a plastic surgery OR office. And she's like, this female surgeon I work with is like a prodigy. She's incredible. And I trusted her because obviously I knew she's a really good nurse. And also she's in the OR with her. And so that's who I went to. And I was a fully paying customer. Or client, patient, whatever the fuck. I don't know. But I just talk about it because I really do believe that she's the best in Arizona. Her name is Miha Khan, Khan, and she works for Dr. Malik's office in Scottsdale. But I know that she's also opening her own practice here soon. So Dr. Khan is who I went to. I love her so much. She's a sweet angel human being, and she's incredible at what she does. I'm so happy with my results. So if I were to get any other plastic surgery ever, I would go to her again in a fucking heartbeat. Cost-wise, because I know people will ask, my implants were $9,000 something, and then my lift was about $5,000. So total, my cost was $14,440. So $14,440, right? Yeah. So roughly $15K, which this gave me the burpees. I've talked to so many of my friends that have gone, like, I'm going to Beverly Hills, which, whatever, go to whoever surgeon you want. My tits look better than theirs, and they pay $25K. They paid $10,000 more. Why are you doing that? And you have to fly to Beverly Hills, and you have to pay for a hotel. I'm like, there are great surgeons everywhere. You just have to do your research. So that's my experience. Best fucking thing I've ever bought myself. And I do go back and forth every day about having more babies. But then I'd have to get my tits redone. And I'm like, that just sounds like a lot of work. So we'll see. Everyone wants Gypsy Rose in the podcast. I want Gypsy Rose in the podcast too, but I don't know how to fucking get a hold of her. So maybe I'll talk to my team about it. But if Kim Kardashian could get a hold of her, I sure as shit can. Me comparing myself to Kim. I'm like, if Kim can do it, so can Avery. Look at me. God. Oh, what is your favorite and most worn designer bag purchase? My Goyard bags. And the reason I'll say that is because I am a mom and I needed a good everyday mom tote bag, and that's my Goyard. I have my green one, which is the medium sized tote. And then for my birthday in Paris, M got me the bigger one, and it's like tan and black leather. I love them because you can wipe them off with baby wipes. They hold so much shit. They match everything. They're timeless. They're hard to get. So when you have a Goyard that's real, you can like tell. I will say too, if you're ever in Paris and you have the opportunity to go to Goyard, do it because their prices are so much lower. They're 30% less as like their base price. Plus you get your tax back of 12%. So you save 42% on a Goyard. So if I were to buy my Goyards here in America, I would pay 50% up cost. So if you're ever in Paris, that's when you need to buy your designer stuff. Other than that, I love my classic flap Chanel bag. That one is cherry red. I got that in Paris for my birthday. That was my birthday present to myself. And I bought it at the original Chanel store in Paris, which was such a cool experience. The classic flaps just are timeless. They go with everything. You can wear them as a shoulder, as a crossbody. I also love my black Prada, the like patent leather one, just because it's a small black bag, matches everything. And I love a little bag. I just hate how little it holds. But I would say those are like my top bags that I use that I really love. I also love my Louis Vuitton croissant bag, which I got secondhand. There's like a designer resale shop here. I got that one secondhand and I love it because it's brown and tan and so it matches everything. And even though it's a small bag about this big, it holds so much. Like my camera can go in there, my selfie light, my lip products, my phone, my wallet. That's all I need. I'm good to go. I have so many people asking if we're having another baby. It's ridiculous. So here's my honest thoughts about it. And again, I'm an open book, right? Anything that's going on in my life, I just feel like I want to talk to you guys about it because you've been here. A lot of you have been here since the beginning. So I feel like you really are my best friends. But it's such a hard thing. So here's my thoughts. I got a tubal ligation after Stevie was born because I was convinced she was my last baby. I was already cut open for a C-section, so it was an easy thing to do. We were obviously in a very different place in life. I worked full-time bedside in the PICU. David worked full-time as a sergeant. So I worked 3 12-and-a-half-hour shifts a week. David worked 4 10-hour shifts a week. That was 4 kids. Obviously, we have a big age gap because our 2 are much older, independent. And Ziggy was only 2.5. And then I had a newborn, up all night breastfeeding, working so much, still building social media. And then I got a second job doing aesthetic nursing. So I worked 2 days a week in the PICU, 1 day a week as an aesthetic nurse, and was building my social media platform. And I was contracted with Cherokee Uniform. So I had to do 3 social media posts minimum a week on top of my regular content. So it was a lot. And I never, ever would have predicted my life is where it's at now. So I think maybe if we were in this phase in life and I could have seen this would have happened, I don't know if I would have gotten a tubal ligation. But I can't regret that. I don't ever have regrets because I just believe you do what you think is right in the moment and you live and learn. And it's hard when, your kids grow up and get older and you don't have a lot of family. And a lot of people ask like why we're no contact with David's family. It's because there's been major substance abuse problems. His dad has been his biological father has been addicted to heroin since before David was even born. And his mom has struggled severely with alcoholism. So those were decisions that we made that were best for our family. So his parents have never even met Ziggy, actually. We went no contact with them when Ziggy was 10 months old, and they don't even know Stevie exists. So Dave was very, very close to his grandparents because he had a broken family dynamic, and there's a lot of substance abuse problems, and his grandfather was the most important person in his life, which is why we took care of him full-time on hospice. And David he took a leave of absence from his job for an entire year from Arizona to go live with his grandfather full-time while I finished nursing school until he died. And he was 98 years old. And he always says that was like one of the best years of his life because he got to like rebond with him all over again. It was just the two of them because it was right after his grandma died. So I just think it's hard because I have one sister. She's in the military, so she moves a lot. My parents are getting divorced after 44 years, so my family's, kind of broken. And then we don't have any relationship with his family at all. Not a single family member. Uh, and that's really hard because and also David does not have any siblings. So it's really difficult when I think about when my kids get older, who they're going to have. And I do feel like it's our job to make sure that we create a family dynamic that they can have forever. Because I always imagined as a mom, like on Thanksgiving, looking out at my table and just having a full table with a loud house. And I want that I want our house to be the house that our kids bring their kids to, and we're, the best grandparents and so involved, and I just want that family dynamic for them because I never had that. David never had that. And I feel like it's our job to create that for them. And I also feel like it's almost a redemption moment if I had another baby because I work from home. I make my own hours. I'm so blessed to have such a flexible job. We're so fortunate where we're so much more financially stable. And our house is full with so much love, and our kids love being siblings, and they ask about babies all the time. So I don't know. It's also hard too because I'm turning 30 this year. David's 36. So we want to be able to not necessarily be young parents, but we just want to be as involved as we can forever. And so we don't want to be, in our 70s when they're graduating high school. So I don't know. David was like, let's talk about it in 2025, which I agree with. Like, Stevie just started part-time preschool. So she's only 3 days a week for 3 hours. It's very, very part-time. So she's home the majority of the time. Ziggy just started kindergarten. Obviously, our oldest two are in full-time school. So we were talking about maybe in 2025 because Stevie will be in full-time preschool then, 5 days a week. So we're like, maybe we'll talk about what it's looking like. We're also launching our business. So I want to make sure I can focus on that because having a baby does make things a little more complicated. It's also hard when you get into a stage of life where your kids are becoming more independent. You find yourself again as a woman outside of being a mom and now being a businesswoman and launching so many things that I'm so excited about, where I have the freedom to just up and leave and travel if I need to, because there are days where I literally will get a text like, hey, can you leave in 2 days? Which is another reason why David's home, because I have that ability, because we do have a nanny and she's part of our family, but she only works for us a few days a week from like 9 to 3-ish. So I can do meetings and get work done. But the majority of the time, the kids are home with David if they're not in school, which we're so fortunate that they're able to have two parents that are home all the time, unless I'm traveling. So it's hard to think about just up and leaving, having a new baby. So I would probably take that baby with me wherever I went. I also just got new titties. So I make a lot of milk and I love breastfeeding. So that also, and not to be in a selfish way, but I mean, I just got new titties. So honestly, I think at the new year, we'll really sit down and talk about it and see where we're at business wise and where I'm at career wise, and if it's realistic to add another baby, because I also don't want to take away from our other kids and take their attention and time away, because the newborn requires a lot of work and a lot of attention, which brings me so much joy. I love the newborn phase, but I also don't want my kids to be negatively affected because they're not getting as much attention. And I worried about that with Ziggy, and it's true what they say, your heart does double in size. Every child you have, your heart grows. And I know my kids would of course, be just as loved and the new baby would be just as loved. But it makes me sad to think about my time being away from my other kids. So, anyways, also, that's 5 fucking kids. Holy shit. I'm about to get a Sprinter van up in here. Okay, that's wild. Then you would catch me in a minivan. That would be the minivan time. Okay. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But 2025, we're going to talk about it and see. But I honestly don't know if I would ever announce that I would be pregnant. Like I feel like people are really quick to monetize off pregnancy. Like they want to announce right away, which is totally their choice. But I feel like I've learned so much since being online. And I feel like the special moments are the ones that are just for us and like within our family and our people. So I think I would try to drag that out as long as I could go. I don't know if I could like Kylie Jenner it because I don't have the status of Kylie Jenner where I don't have to leave my house ever. Like I would have to go in public and like grocery shop or like take my kids to school and people would see a massive fucking belly and someone would take a fucking picture and put it on Reddit or some shit. But I would try to keep it as private as I could for as long as I could because that would just be really special for our family. So anywho's, that's where I'm at with that. What was the first thing you bought yourself with your first influencer paycheck? So I think people don't understand I've been doing this for almost a decade. So my first influencer paycheck was probably $50 and it went towards groceries, okay, for years. I just left nursing in October of last year. Hasn't even been a full year yet. So I did not start making influencer money until May of 2023. So I just hit like 1 year of making holy shit money, if that makes sense. Actually, that's a lie. Influencers get paid months later. I don't know if people know that, but you're usually paid like net 30 or net 60, sometimes net 90. So sometimes I'll do a brand deal. I won't see a dime of that for like 3 months. So I signed with my team May of 2023. And I remember I was not making, like money was not coming to my bank account until about August. And I remember being like, texting my team like, hey, when's that money coming? Because your girl needs it. But I was contracted with Cherokee for $500 a month for 12 social media posts a month, which is fucking crazy. The way they took advantage. But it's okay, I didn't know. And then at one point, they upped me to $1,500 a month. And that was fucking wild money to me because that was a whole nursing paycheck for me. $1,500 was about, I think I made like $1,800 a paycheck working full-time in the PICU, which is crazy. That's crazy. I worked 3 12-and-a-half-hour shifts a week and I made $1,800 every 2 weeks. And I worked in a level 1 trauma in the ICU, taking care of babies respectfully that were dying on a daily basis. And yeah, so $1,500 a month was a fucking lot. That was a whole extra paycheck for me a month. So that was going towards Costco. That was going towards bills, paying off credit cards. We wanted to be completely debt free, which we are now, thank God. But yeah, my first big purchase where I was like, holy shit, I made it. And I hysterically cried when I bought it was Goldie, my Chanel bag. She was like, I think $6,000, which is absurd even saying that now. Like a $6,000 bag is so much. Don't even ask how much my classic flat bag was from Chanel. But I got a tax refund in Paris. It's fine. But that was the one that I cried in the store because I was like, never in my life did I think I'd be able to afford a Chanel bag. And I know it doesn't matter. It's materialistic. But that was when I was like, wow, I had never expected it. And again, that was like multiple months of work as a nurse, like money-wise. So it was not something I took lightly. And I cherish that bag. I love Goldie. She's such a cutie. This is cute. What do all 4 of your kids want to be when they grow up? So Anaya, my oldest, is 14, and she wants to do something in musical theater or a chef. So good at cooking, so great at baking. She has such a knack for it. Like she's incredible in the kitchen. She loves helping me when I'm cooking. She loves helping my mom. she also loves musical theater and she's so fucking good at it, you guys. Like, I'll watch her perform and the confidence this girl has on stage singing solos. You couldn't catch me fucking dead doing that. We put her in musical theater camp last summer and she just thrived. And she wants to go to like a performing arts high school. She goes, this is her last year in junior high, middle school. And next year she goes to high school and she wants to go to performing arts school. And I said, babe, I will support whatever you want to do. So if she wants to do that, I am so happy to put her in that. There's a few in Scottsdale that I've been looking at for her because I think she would just thrive off of it. And I also think when you're a musical theater kid, like you have to find your people because everyone's so quirky and fun. And I just feel like it's really important to have a good community. So if she can go to a school that kids love doing that, that would make me so happy. Sydney, who's 12, wants to go to cosmetology school. She is obsessed with hair, loves makeup, skincare, beauty, all the things. She always French braids my hair. I think she would be such a great hairdresser. This girl's 12 and she has full heatless curls in every day. Like, she's just the cutest. I'm obsessed with her. Ziggy wants to be a garbage man. I said, slay. You drive that garbage truck. Absolutely. And then Stevie, I literally don't know where she got this from. I could not tell you. But I'm filling out her like preschool little first day of school board. I'm like, baby, what do you want to be when you're older? A doctor. Okay. So Stevie's 3 and she wants to be a doctor. So I said, slay queen, you do it. Whatever my kids want to do, I want to support. I don't care. If they want to be a stay-at-home mom, great. If they want to be a garbage man, great. You want to be a doctor and go to medical school, great. I'll support it. I just want them to be happy. I just want them to have something that they can support themselves, be happy, thriving, and I'm going to help them every step of the way, always. All right, I'm going to answer one more question, and it's, again, so many of these. Do you think you would ever go back to nursing? So I don't think people realize I do still have an active nursing license, so I am still a registered nurse. But I talked about this on Instagram the other day. I am going on some nurse medical mission trips, and I'm so excited about it. I don't think I would ever go back to nursing in a paid capacity. I have no desire to be paid to work as a nurse or to be employed as a nurse, but I will abso-fucking-lutely volunteer my time, my knowledge, my education in order to help others that are in need. That is something that's a huge passion of mine. I've talked about this for years on Instagram. Even when I worked in the PICU, I just couldn't, I worked 3 12-hour shifts a week. Like, I couldn't leave for a week at a time to go on a medical mission trip. Also, when you go on a medical mission trip, people don't realize you actually pay to go. So I am paying my own personal money. I'm not like being sponsored or whatever, like gifted this trip. I am paying money to go on my own time to fly out to certain places, mostly third world countries, in order to educate people about medicine, do pediatric open heart surgeries. There's what I'm doing for pediatric cleft lip and palate surgeries. And that's all I want to do. I want to keep my nursing active. I want to keep my nursing license active, and thankfully you only need like 960 hours every 5 years to keep it active, and it doesn't have to be in an employment capacity. You can use your volunteer hours to do that. And I love pediatric nursing. It's my biggest passion. I love it more than anything. I don't think I have the option to go back to a normal working job regularly as a pediatric nurse because not in a cocky way, I just get recognized a lot. And I feel like it puts a target on my back and it makes me more liable for things, especially when it gets tricky in the medical world and HIPAA and all those things. So, I just really want to do some medical mission trips. So I've reached out to 2 different corporations. There's a pediatric open heart surgery mission that's happening next month, I believe in Africa or Kenya. I can't remember which country it's at. But it's a group of 20 medical professionals that are going to volunteer their time to do some open heart surgeries as well as repairs on kids that need it. And when I worked in the PICU, we had a CVICU side, so we did open hearts on kids. So that's something that I'm knowledgeable about. And then the other one is the mission trip to Mexico, which I believe is next March, where we would do cleft lip palate surgery. So that brings me so much joy. I also have a really exciting event I'm going to in October for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Just one of the greatest places in the world, I think. Everything that they do is so incredible. And I told my team that's one of my biggest goals is to do something with them. So I'm going in October. I get to tour the hospital. I get to meet all the patients, which I'm so stoked about, you guys. You have no idea. Like, this is such a dream for me. I just can't wait to connect to all the families and just talk about the good that St. Jude does for not just the patients, but the families as well. And Scott has a very, endearing story with his nephew who passed away at 9 months old of a brain tumor. And his sister was taken such good care of by St. Jude and still is, and he's been passed for over a year. Like, I just think they really do use the money that people donate for good, and I really respect that. And if I can use my platform to spread good about that and hopefully have people donate, I will do that till the day I die. And then the next day they're doing like a red carpet fundraiser event. So we had to go dress up and all the things, but the most important part is that we get to raise money for St. Jude Children's Hospital. So there's going to be I think they said a lot of country artists, like they're performing live music and stuff. So I'm going to try to record as much as I can behind the scenes for YouTube for that. But I'm really excited. And that's just been like a lifelong dream of mine. I always knew I wanted to do something with St. Jude's. I looked at working there for a long time, actually. But then obviously we had our roots based in Arizona and is it Tennessee? Yeah, Tennessee. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on nursing. I will use my license as long as I can in a volunteer capacity, but I don't think I would ever be employed at a hospital again, if that makes sense. But anywho, that wraps up our solo episode. Stay tuned next week because we got Tiana's episode and that girl spilled some tea. TT spilled the tea and it's good. So anywho, I'm going to go be a lazy bum the rest of the day and finish my Blue Lagoon, but I love you guys. Cheers. See you next week.